Jim Phillips here. Welcome to another edition of Java with Jim. I trust you are doing well. I always want you to do well. And the reason I say I trust, I don't want to say I hope, because that leaves room for the possibility of you not doing well to exist. When I say that I trust you're doing well, to me that means that you are, that there isn't any question associated with that is what I know, that you're doing well. So that's why I always say that. I have had people ask me that question in the past. All right, so here we are, another episode of Java with Jim. What I want to talk about today happened yesterday. It's not that it was an event that happened yesterday, but I was being interviewed on a podcast that is going to be, and was recorded, it's going to be aired probably 3 weeks or so. Third week of September is what I was told. If you are following me on any of the social media, if you're following me through my website, livinginfullexpression.com, if you are a member of my email distribution list and you receive my thoughts, musings, and updates, then you will receive notification of this podcast and the official air date. If you're not following me, then I invite you to do so. You can follow me on Facebook at Jim Phillips /author, and you'll find my business page for Facebook, and I post all these videos and things of that nature there. Or you can sign up for my newsletter by going onto my website, my newsletter being the thoughts, musings, and updates. Or you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on all of them, LinkedIn, I have a YouTube channel, you can find me on YouTube as well. All these videos and podcasts and whatnot are on my YouTube channel. All right, so what happened last night? The podcast was called, I'm going to read this, make sure I get it right, Success Insight Podcast. Now, Success Insight is the word success and then insight, as if you are going to receive some insight podcast. And the podcast host is Howard Fox. So Howard and I were having a conversation, and we were talking about really all the things that are happening on the planet right now. I mean, who's not talking about what's happening? It's not just in this country, the United States, where I live, but it's across the world. And we're seeing protests that are similar protests on similar topics, and free speech being one of them. And obviously a lot of things about COVID and wearing masks and governments, and I mean, all of these things that are really causing a lot of distress across the planet and within a lot of people, myself included. We have a lot of people who are questioning what is true, what is real and what is not real, what is true, what is untrue. And of course, the whole idea of discernment, which we've spoken about many, many times, continues to arise. So last night in my interview with Howard Fox, we were talking about all of these things that are happening. And Howard asked me, he said, what is it we can do? What is it that I or anyone as an individual can do to make a difference so that we're not at each other's throats, so to speak, so that there's not this constant anger and this hatred and the divisiveness that is rampant on the planet right now, this side and that side, and there doesn't seem to be any way to bridge that gap. So that was the question that Howard was asking me, how do we bridge that gap? My answer, and it's the answer that I will always give if somebody asks me that, and really I think it's the solution to most, if not everything, that we're experiencing on the planet that we would consider to be negative or divisive or not of the truth and not the sort of life that I think we all want to live. And the answer is take responsibility for your own life. It is that simple. Take responsibility for your own life. Take responsibility for your thoughts, your beliefs, your choices, and your actions. Make sure that they are in alignment with the life you want to live and with how you want to be presented, how you want to be perceived in the world. Now, this doesn't mean that you lose your voice. It doesn't mean that you can't put what your beliefs are out into the world. But what I would suggest you do, and this goes back to assuming responsibility. Assume responsibility for your beliefs. What is it you believe, and why do you believe what you believe? And as much as you can, make sure that what you believe is true. Make sure that what you are saying is true. Also, take responsibility for respecting and honoring someone else's opinion so that they have the right to do exactly what you have the right to do, which is speak their truth to the degree that they know it. Speak whatever their opinion is, but be open and receptive to additional ideas and information and ways of thinking that might be contrary to yours. We all are here at this same point in time for a reason. And I believe we're all here at this specific point in time to do just what I'm suggesting. It's been created as a global issue for us all to be able to participate in it, and for us all to look at the world and start to discern what is real, what's true, what's not true. Take responsibility for our lives and start making choices that are in alignment with the world we all want to have. But it does begin with each of us individually. If I am taking responsibility for my thoughts and my beliefs, my choices and my actions, and they are in alignment with the world that I believe that most people want to have, which is a world of love, joy, peace, happiness, compassion for one another, support for one another. There isn't any divisiveness. There's no judgment. There isn't any prejudice or discrimination. I mean, all the things that are the core of the issues that we have. And if I can continue to live my life in that way, then it's not that I am making a change by telling other people what to do. A change occurs as a result of me and you and everyone else being who they are in truth, representing the world that they want to experience and express. And then, of course, it just flows out from each individual, and it influences, not in a negative way, but influences other people so they too may say, oh, that's the world I want to see. That's the life I want to have. That's the way I want to present or experience and express in this world. Now, there's two questions. This is really what came up last night during this podcast. And it's two questions that I really haven't thought about in a while, but yet it came up with this question that Howard asked me. And it is really, how do we discern? Excuse me, how do we discern? Now, these two questions are going to sound like they're not questions that you would normally think of when you're trying to discern the truth. It is a little bit deeper, perhaps, than we might normally feel that we need to dig into to get to the truth or discern what the truth is. First question is, before you do anything, say anything, check in with your thoughts, check in with your beliefs, check in with your choices, check in with the actions that you take. And the first question is what I'm about to do, is what I think, is what I believe, is this action that I am about to take, does it eliminate or diminish my suffering? Now, I said my suffering, but it's also a question of, does it eliminate or does it diminish suffering? Now, suffering in this case is not the suffering that we would normally associate with the word suffering, which is long-term pain. It's not physical pain. This is about the anxiety, the hatred, the fear, the divisiveness, all of the negative energies that we find really rampant across the planet. Does it eliminate that? Is what I'm about to do, is what I'm thinking, is the action I'm about to take, is it going to contribute to more suffering? In other words, is it going to cause me more angst? Is it going to continue to fuel my anger? Is it going to fuel my hatred? Is it going to continue to fuel divisiveness in any way? And if the answer to that in that context is that it will continue to perpetuate suffering, then it's not true. Then it's not the decision that I should be making. And it's certainly not in alignment with the world that I would want to see, the world that I would want to experience, the world that I want for my children and grandchildren. And it's not who I am, and it's not how I want to be perceived in the world. Now, the second question is, and both of these really have to be answered in the affirmative. When you're saying, does this diminish or eliminate my suffering? You say the answer is yes. Second question is, does this move me further along my life's path? Of course, that brings into question what you believe your life's path to be. I look at life and the purpose of life as being the progressive realization of the truth. So when I answer this question within that context, it's very easy for me to say that it does move me along my life's path. If, in fact, what I'm thinking, what I'm believing, what I'm choosing, the actions that I'm taking, if it does, in fact, take me closer and closer to the truth, the greater realization of the truth, then I know that it's moving me further along my life's path. Also, whatever it is you have chosen to do with your life and how you have chosen to experience and express. And if you are moving along your life's path, along with, what we might want to say in a more spiritual way, if you will, more attuned to, more aligned with your divine self, then that would be part of this question too. Does it move me along my life's path, which is the experience and expression of the divine as me and through me? And if the answer is no, it doesn't do that, then it's not something that you need to do. It's not something that you need to share. And when I say share, I'm talking about things that are put out on social media. That's a big perpetrator of this fear and this anger and this divisiveness that we're experiencing. We've all got to take control. We've all got to take responsibility for our own lives, who we are, what we're doing. We don't control the outcome, but we influence the outcome by who we are and what we're putting out into the world. What we choose to do, how we choose to be. So again, the two questions, I'm going to end with this. The first question is what I'm about to do, is what I think, is what I believe, are the actions that I'm about to take, do they diminish or eliminate suffering? Second question is what I'm about to do, is what I think, is what I believe, is the action I'm about to take, does that move me further along my life's path? And if the answer is yes to both of those questions, I know that what I am doing, what I am thinking, what I am believing, the choice or the action that I'm about to take is going to be better for me and better for the world at large. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Java with Jim. If you have any questions about what I've just spoken about, please write them below wherever you have viewed this video. You can send me a direct email at jim@livingfullexpression.com. Go to my website, livingfullexpression.com. You can see some of the other videos that I've done, downloads that are on there as well. And you can also sign up for my newsletter, which is Thoughts, Musings, and Updates. I appreciate you. I always look forward to these times together. Take care and be well. And we'll see you soon. Bye now.